Hello and welcome to the video. I'm Jimmy the Mower and today we're going to be assembling a Ransomes Parkway Magna 250 cutting head rear roller. Well, we've got our great new cutting head back on the bench. Well, not new, refurbished anyway, back on the bench. Right, I've put a little block of wood under there to try and tilt it forward, mainly for your benefit so you can see what I'm doing. This is how we offer it up. It sits like this either side, and those two bolt onto there. Two 17 mils over there, two 17 mils over here. That's all they are. They just go straight through. That's it. In the side, we'll turn it round in a minute so you can see. But in the side, we've got a couple of these brass. Now, I'm not sure what they're called. Pivot points, adjusters, whatever they are. Basically, as we adjust the rear roller assembly up and down, I've just looked at these. We need to get these bang on. We need them both on 4 either side. So when we put it on, we've adjusted them correctly and it's easier to line up because they're both the same. So I'll do that in a second. But then these slot in, and they slot in to these big brass pins. I see, or big brass brackets. Look there. I'm not sure if you can see that. I'll get a photo of it. They fit into there like this, and the bolt goes through the edge of that and into there and sits in there and pivots round, and that allows it to raise and lower when you adjust it. It allows it to pivot round in there. These are big heavy cast brackets that they're sitting, so you've got to be mindful of those. Don't get banging them with hammer because you can break them. So if you need to adjust them slightly, you can do them at the edge with a big 32 spanner. That's probably about as big as you'll get in your standard workshop, in your standard toolkit. So they come off with a 32. Don't do them all the way. There's no bolt no nut on the back of those bolts. They come into this, which is threaded, so they're heavily greased up, and you can adjust them slightly, bring them out to fit this in, and then bring it back in. Right, I'll get this up, but before I do that, I better adjust it back down so you've got the same cutting heads either side. I just put a bolt in, a 17 mil at the top of each one just to hold it. And then we put a washer on these. You can put a nylock nut on, normal nut, whatever you prefer. And again, you can put them on whichever way you prefer. Now, this is a centre cutting unit, so it's being pulled that way. So what I tend to do is I put the bolt head on this side. So the bolt head is sitting there and it's flush. And anything that dirt and grime coming up at it, that doesn't affect any spare thread we have on this side over here. Okay, so I'll just put that on there. We'll get a photo of that so you can see clearly. I'll just spin that up and then I'll put one on the other side. I've got it all lined up now then. We've got the one nut and bolt in at the top, not done up tight, just finger tight in there. We've got the roller assembly, that's spinning round nice and freely. And this is the bit I was on about. This is the cast iron arm that allows it to move. And this is the brass sort of pivot bit that sits inside it. Now, that brass pivot bit, if I move this up out of the way, that sits in there, and we put the bolt through and into this threaded hole, right? So it's coming through into this threaded hole. So we put this in and we make sure that this is set at 4 rings and that one's set at 4 rings. You can set them at 5, 6, whatever you prefer. Just do them at 4 because that's about an inch or an inch and a half worth of cut. So that's what I just do, and it just makes it easier if they're both set more or less the same. Now, we've got a 17 mil, it's the same kind of 17 mil that goes through there. So we put one through there. If I put the washer on the right side, it might be helpful, eh? So put that through there, put the washer on this side. And then we can put the nut on as well. I'm not going to tighten it up. You don't tighten any of this up really, you just get it all in place, in situ. And then once it's tightened, once we've got it all where it needs to be, that's when we can tighten it up. So now we need to find this bit here This hole has got to match up with that hole in there. So that one there. So we put this in. Now I have to probably stick my head in front of the camera so I can see what I'm doing, because I can't see it from the other side. There's different ways of doing this. You can put a bolt in there already. You can put like a little screwdriver in and get it more or less round to where it needs to be. And then we'll just lower it down. Now I'm absolutely miles off on that. I can tell that. I'm miles away. So that's in there. Right. I'll take it out. I'll have to stick my head in front of the camera and jig this round. We don't do these up tight because we might have to move this in and out just a little bit just to be able to match up where it needs to be. This is the hardest bit of the entire process. Once you've got this one in on this side, it pretty much pulls the one into line on the other side. We put the other nut and bolt in on the bottom there and it squares things up. And then once we've done that, all we do is tighten up the scraper wire and we've finished. So a little bit of time on there, a few minutes, just to make sure it's right and pay dividends. Right, I'll just have to stick my head down so I can see where I'm going. Right, so if I put that towards the top, there you go, that's in. That's in. I'll tell you what I didn't do though, I didn't put a washer on it. So I'm going to undo it again. Hopefully it will stay in position. If I hold it up and release the bit of pressure off it that there is, it should stay in position. Come round. Ooh, washer on there, spring washer. It dropped out of position. There you go. Right, let's go again. Pull it out, put the washer on, put the brass on, get your head in the way so you can see where you're going. Put that in. I think that's it. I think that's it. There you go. It's not that hard. So just make sure when you do it, you're threading it properly. Don't put it in with a gun, for goodness sake. You'll strip the thread on the other side of it and you'll be in a whole world of trouble. It's a strip down again. You've either got to buy a new one of these shoes at the back, or you've got to take it somewhere where they can drill it out and tap it and redo it, or buy a brand new one. That's how it is. Right, what have I got on here? A 19, so that's a 17 mil, and we'll just nip it up with a 17 mil, and then I'll nip over and do the other side, and then once we've done that, I can show you the scraper wire. Well, that was easy enough, wasn't it? We've got these two in, they're locked up, same on the other side, this one in and locked up, and the roller is in there and spinning freely. That's great. We've got a little block of wood under there just to lift it up off the bench. If you did have to slacken off the 32 on there, make sure you tighten it up now before we put it back onto the floor with any pressure, because it will just sort itself out then. They do pivot on that. So, right, all we've got to do is tighten up this wire. You can get your hands down the back of there at the moment, and that's no good. It's not going to strip grass off. So all you need is a 7 mil, and a 7 mil goes on that little hex there, and you put your 13 socket on the end, and you just tighten it up. We put the nylock nut and the washer on that end, and we put them about halfway down, just enough so you can grip it with a spanner. That's all you need on that end. And then this end, this is your adjustment end really. You haven't got to worry about these too much. If you need to put a bit more pressure on them throughout the season, you can always add an extra couple of washers and just put a bit more pressure on, a bit more tension by tightening these up and just keeping some out this end. And if you get to the end of the season and everything is badly rusted up and you can't remove it, or you're having problems, they're throwaway items anyway. You can just nip through with an angle grinder and just take them off, and that's it. They come out either end. It saves you a lot of bother. Right, so I'll just tighten this up and I'll show you the desired tension. But I just reiterate the point, we didn't tighten them up before at the ends, because that end down there and this end together, they pull, and it pulls these out. And we've already got these two variables, this third variable on there. There's a lot of movement around to get this in. So we do everything up loosely. I've now tightened these up We set up 4 rings. These are tight, that's tight in there, that's tight round the side. It's just a scraper wire to tighten up. I'll do that now. That's all tightened up then and tight as a drum. That'll take the grass off there, no problem, when we're spinning around. Got a little bit of adjustment left on there, so as the season progresses, if we need to tighten it up, then we can do. That's no problem. All you got to do now is set the height to cut and you're ready to start cutting grass again. This one's on the bench because I took it off to show you exactly how you can do it, but we normally fit them while they're still on the mower. It's no bother at all. You can do the one underneath, which is this cutting head, or the 2 either side. It really is quite easy once you get the hang of it. Setting the height of cut's pretty simple too. There's a link in the description to that video, or find it on the Ransomes playlist. These are Magna 250 cutting heads. It's all on there. Again, it seems quite daunting, but it is good to do. Keep these tools with you in your van or close by when you're mowing, in case you ever have to change one of these. I hope that's been of use to somebody and maybe found it entertaining and informative. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you can. Anything nice to say, pop it in the comments section below. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Jimmy the Mower. I'll catch you on the next one.